Candidates have started election campaigning for the November 20th polls, which, however, is a blatant breach of Election Code of Conduct, as the Election Commission has already outlined that campaigning is only allowed from November 3, 17 days prior to the voting date. The Election Code of Conduct came into force since 28th of September, and all eyes are on the Election Commission regarding what action it will take against such defaulting candidates. Good morning, I'm Abheudaya Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. The Election Commission scraps candidacies of Resham Chaudhary, Lakshman Tharu and Prem Prakash Oli. Ruling coalition hand rebel candidates deadline till today to withdraw their candidacies, warned of expulsion otherwise. Handful of individuals' influence in selection of candidates highlights the lack of democratic practice within parties, constitutional sentiment of inclusion ignored while distributing election tickets. Leaders of the G7 group of nations say they will back Ukraine for as long as it takes in the wake of the latest major Russian missile strikes. And English Premier League champions Manchester City and Spanish giants Real Madrid advance into the knockout stage of the Champions League. Chelsea blank AC Milan 2-0. The meeting of the four parties of the ruling coalition held at the official residence of the Prime Minister in Baluwatar yesterday decided to take action against rebel candidates if they do not withdraw their candidacies by today. The parties of the ruling coalition, Nepali Congress, CPN Maoist Center, CPN Unified Socialist and Rashtriya Janamorcha have handed the rebel candidates a deadline till today to withdraw their candidacies, warning of expulsion if they failed to do so. Issuing a joint press release following the meeting, the parties have directed leaders and cadres to implement its decision without fail. The Office of the Election Officer has rejected the complaint filed against the candidacy of Prime Minister and Nepali Congress President Sherbahadur Deuba. The Office of the Election Officer has rejected the complaint filed against Deuba by his competitor Karna Malla, citing different date of births in the Prime Minister's citizenship and name in the voters' list. According to Dareldura Chief Election Officer Balkrishna Wagle, the error in the voters' list was a print mistake. Prior to this, Deuba had furnished his clarification against the complaint filed against his candidacy. Meanwhile, the Election Commission has scrapped several candidacies, including Kailali's Lakshman Tharu and Bardia's Reshamlal Chaudhary. Both Tharu and Chaudhary are convicts in the infamous Tikapur murder incident and are serving jail sentences. Likewise, the Commission has also rejected the candidacy of Rukum West's Om Prakash Oli, a Nepali Congress candidate from Rukum West. Oli has been charged under criminal banking offense by the Surkhet High Court. A handful of individuals within the mainstream parties seem to have had major influence in selection of candidates for the upcoming provincial and parliamentary elections. This has highlighted the lack of democratic practices within the parties, as disgruntled factions have been calling out on the leadership, saying they had been unfairly treated during ticket distribution. More in this report.
UML has decided not to field former Vice Chair Bhim Rawal and former General Secretary Ghanshyam Musal for the House of Representatives election. Both these leaders had backed office bearers' post with highest votes in the party's 9th General Convention, but had been a stern critic of party chair KP Sharma Oli. To add to the list of criticisms, voices against Oli have increased, citing the party chair's unilateral ways even in distribution of election tickets, choosing only his supporters over faces that have made significant contributions for the party for many years. In Nepali Congress that leads the ruling coalition, party president and Prime Minister Sherbahadur Deuba has been alleged of reserving more than 50% of the party's share in the lower house polls to himself. The premier was also criticized for fielding those facing criminal charges. The situation in Maoist Center and Unified Socialists seem no different. It has also been understood that Janata Samajwadi Party might have left the ruling coalition to join hands with CPN-UML, as the party chair Upendra Yadav's son was not allowed an election ticket by the coalition. Most party leaderships have been criticized for revising election criteria, processes and structures to suit themselves. Critics have opined this trend has made a mockery of democracy.
Major political parties have failed to ensure the constitutional sentiment of inclusion in their fielding of their candidates for the upcoming provincial and parliamentary elections. Parties have stepped on the non-requirement of inclusive list for the direct category, which facilitated in not providing adequate tickets to female aspirants and those from the indigenous, Madhesi and Dalit communities. Even as the Constitution has reserved 33% quota for women, 27% for indigenous, 22% for Madhesi and 9% for the Dalit community, majority of the mainstream parties have not prioritized candidates from these communities. CPN-UML has filed for candidacies in 144 election constituencies within an alliance with fringe parties. This only includes 11 women, 24 from the indigenous community, 18 from Madhesh, and 1 from the Dalit community. Likewise, Nepali Congress, that struck an election agreement with the 4 parties, has filed candidacies in 84 seats, which unfortunately only includes 5 women candidates. 14 others are from the indigenous community and 21 from the Madhesi community. Nepali Congress, that leads the ruling alliance, has not fielded a single candidate from the Dalit community. Likewise, ruling coalition partner CPN Maoist Center has filed for candidacies in 48 constituencies with 7 women candidates, 13 from indigenous, 7 from Madhesi and 1 from the Dalit community. In our public voice segment, we had asked people in several provinces what they term parties not embracing an inclusive approach in the selection of candidates. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public voice.
संविधानले चाहिँ परिकल्पना गर्यो तर दलहरुको विधानले चाहिँ त्यो कल्पना गर्न सकेन
आफन्तलाई अटाउनको लागि समावेशी नगरेको
पैसा जसको पासमा छ त्यसलाई टिकट पान्छ
जसको चाहिँ पहुँच बढी छ त्यही व्यक्तिले उम्मेदवारी पाउने चान्स चाहिँ बढी छ
खास गरी नेतृत्वमा भर पर्छ
Over 1,400 houses have been inundated in Abheudaya due to the flooded Karnali River triggered by continuous downpour. The local residents have said that massive damage was incurred as they lost food grains with the floodwater entering the settlements. The residents from Rajapur municipality and Gerua rural municipality have left their settlements in search of safer locations. The temporary embankment built at the Karnali River in Gerua rural municipality ward number 1 was damaged because of the incessant rainfall. The details of the damages are yet to be collected as the continuous downpour is yet to recede. The local bodies and some political parties have extended relief assistance to the flood victims. Likewise, 7 households have been displaced in Bajura due to landslide triggered by rains. Vehicular movement on the Karnali highway has been disrupted as landslides have occurred in at least 90 different locations of the highway. The government has yet to initiate study on the type of dengue virus that has been spreading rapidly across the country. Dengue has now spread to over 76 districts and almost 34,000 cases have been reported since mid-July alone, while 44 dengue-related deaths have been reported. The government had collected samples from all 7 provinces to identify the subtype of dengue virus. However, works have been delayed citing festivities. 4 serotypes of dengue have so far been recorded in the world. Back in 2019, when over 17,000 cases had been reported in the country, most of them were identified to be of the second serotype or DENV2. Medical doctors say the chances of being infected with a serotype for the second time are lower. However, add that the immune system of any individual who has recovered from dengue will be compromised and the person might face serious challenges in battling other infections. Prime Minister Shrestha Deuba has expressed the government's commitment in creating a conducive environment for non-resident Nepalese to invest in Nepal and reap benefits from their investment. Addressing a program organized to mark the establishment day of the Non-Resident Nepalese Association in Kathmandu yesterday, Prime Minister Deuba stressed on the involvement of Nepali nationals living abroad for development of Nepal. Likewise, former NRNA President Jiba Lamichhane appreciated the government efforts in addressing the issues raised by the NRNs and called for united efforts from everyone in days ahead as well. Also addressing the program, founding President Upendra Mahato stressed on making contributions that would ensure national prosperity. According to the NRNA, around 8 million Nepali nationals reside in more than 85 countries of the world. The organization was founded in 2003. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question. Why has curbing dengue not been a government priority? Your options are A, government's incompetence, B, election pressure, and C, indifference to public health. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.